All right, let's talk about how factories actually work. Ever wondered how all those complex machines, robots, and sensors all coordinate with each other? Well, the secret is a universal language called Modbus. And today, we're diving deep into its two most popular flavors, the classic rugged RTU and the modern lightning-fast TCP. This is going to be fun. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the problem, a factory in chaos. Then, we'll meet the hero, Modbus itself. After that, we'll break down the two main versions, RTU and TCP, put them head to head, and finally, figure out how you can choose the perfect one for the job. Let's get into it. To really get why Modbus is such a big deal, we need to wind the clock back a bit. Picture a factory floor before a common language existed. It was, well, organized chaos at best. Okay, so imagine this. Your factory is filled with the brains of the operation, these PLCs, or programmable logic controllers. You've also got tons of sensors and meters. But here's the catch. The gear from one company, say Allen Bradley, spoke a totally different language from the gear made by Siemens. It was like the Tower of Babel on a factory floor. Getting them to work together? A total nightmare.
And right into that chaos steps our hero, Modbus. It was specifically designed to be that one universal translator that could bring order to the madness and get everyone talking.
So where did this thing come from? Well, back in the 70s, a company called Modicon, and get this is the same company that literally invented the PLC, created Modbus for its own equipment. But in 1979, they did something revolutionary. They published it for the whole world to use for free. And that single decision is why it's still the king of the hill today. And that's the secret sauce right there. They made it an open protocol. That was a total game changer. It meant any company, whether a giant or a startup, could build Modbus into their products without paying a single dime in royalties. You can see why it just exploded in popularity and became the standard, right? This quote really nails it. Modbus is the language. It's the what. But think about it. You can speak a language, you can write it in a letter, or you can talk over the phone. The delivery method is just as important. And that's exactly what RTU and TCP are. They're just two different ways of delivering the exact same Modbus language. So first up, let's talk about the original, the OG Modbus RTU. You got to think of this one as the old school, reliable workhorse. It's been on factory floors for decades for one simple reason. It just works, and it's tough as nails. So how does this veteran operate? Well, it's all about simplicity. It runs over basic serial connections, usually RS-485, using simple twisted pair wires. The whole system is set up in a master-slave architecture. That means one device, the master, is the undisputed boss. It's the only one that gets to start a conversation. All the other slave devices just listen quietly until the master calls them out by their unique unit ID. And crucially, it's half duplex, which is a fancy way of saying it's like a walkie-talkie. Only one device can talk at a time. Over and out. Now, with that daisy chain setup, you can typically hook up about 32 devices on one line. But hey, if you need more, no problem. You can just add some repeaters to boost the signal and get that number all the way up to 247 devices. Okay, let's jump in our time machine and fast forward to the modern era. Meet Modbus TCP. This is the prodigy, the evolution. It's the same powerful Modbus language, but it's been rebuilt from the ground up to run on the networks we all know and love, Ethernet. So instead of those old serial cables, we're talking standard Ethernet now, and that changes everything. The architecture shifts from master-slave to client-server, meaning any device can initiate a command. Instead of a simple unit ID, every single device gets its own IP address, just like your computer. But maybe the biggest upgrade? It's full duplex. So if RTU is a walkie-talkie, TCP is a telephone call. Everybody can talk and listen at the same time. Way more efficient. And the scale? Oh, it's on a completely different level. Where RTU has its limits, a Modbus TCP network can handle a practically unlimited number of devices. We're not talking a small step up here. This is a giant leap. It's what makes it perfect for huge, modern facilities that might cover a massive campus. All right, it's time for the main event. Let's put these two protocols side by side for a direct showdown. And just remember that key idea we talked about. It's the same language, just a totally different delivery system. This table lays it all out perfectly. Look at that first line, physical medium. Serial versus Ethernet. That one difference causes a huge ripple effect down the line. It's why TCP is so much faster. It's why it can handle way more devices. And there's our communication analogy again. RTU's half duplex is the walkie-talkie, while TCP's full duplex is the phone call. It's just a fundamentally more modern and efficient way to have a conversation. Okay, so we've got all the technical specs down. But let's get real. So what? When do you actually use one over the other? Well, it all boils down to the specific job you need to get done. This chart really gets to the heart of it. You're going to want to use RTU when you've got older systems, or maybe you're in a situation where bulletproof reliability is way more important than speed. It's also fantastic in really harsh, electrically noisy places because it's great at rejecting interference. But you'll pick TCP when you need speed, when you need to connect tons of devices, and especially when you need to tie everything into your main IT network for things like remote access and data analysis.
So let's make it super simple. Here's a quick 4-point checklist you can run through. 1. How fast do you need to be? 2. How many things are you connecting? 3. What's the environment like? Is it rugged or is it a clean, modern facility? And 4. What kind of wiring do you already have in place? Answer those 4 questions, and you'll know exactly which protocol to choose.
And that brings us to a really interesting final thought. Look, Modbus TCP is clearly the future of networked automation, but the raw simplicity and ruggedness of RTU mean it's not going anywhere. It's still the backbone for millions of systems out there. So, as factories and automation get smarter and smarter, do you think one will finally win out? Or will this old veteran and the new prodigy always have a place working side by side? Something to think about.